Nigeria Info.
We are Nigeria Info 99.3. Welcome to the second part of Dailies today, Lagos. Good morning to you. It's a pleasure to know that you are there. I am Sheriff Quadry.
And I'm Jimi. This is good morning.
That's right. You can watch this show on Facebook and on YouTube as well, okay? It's Nigeria Info 99.3 on Facebook and on YouTube. Let's start. We're going to start with the editorial from the Punch newspaper, page 16. Is NLC president above the law?
Yeah, today is the day that the NLC president will honor the police invitation. And I'm glad that in a very quiet manner this day has come and we expect him to go and do the needful. And so today we have in the Punch the editorial that actually talks about, the NLC had threatened and their subsidiaries or whatever that they should go on strike because he was invited and so on and so forth. And I was one of those who had said that he's not above the law. And the Punch aligns with that argument. They say here, for example, is Ajero above the law? They say, although the NSC had informed the police that Ajero would honor the invitation on August 29, which is today, it had directed its affiliates and state chapters to mobilize members nationwide for a strike or protest should the labor leader be detained. Okay? The police had directed Ajero to report to the office on August 20, failure of which a warrant of arrest would be issued against him. This followed the night raid on the National Secretariat in Abuja on July 7. And it says that according to the NLC, Ajero's summon is an unfounded, that's what the NLC said, and politically motivated investigation. This does not justify, even though they said that, this does not justify Ajero's refusal to honor such an invite. He has said he will honor it today. The Punch argues that since 2009, Nigeria has battled with terrorism. According to the Global Center for the Responsibility to Protect Boko Haram and ISWAP, have killed over 35,000 people between 2009 and 2020. Therefore, tackling terrorism financing is vital to destroying extremist groups' operational capacities and boosting national security. So rather than threatening a strike, the NLC should have encouraged its leader to honor the invite and clear his name. And that we hope he will be able to do this morning. Labour should remember that strikes and protests cost the economy dearly. And the Punch also says that Labour should also remember that the Police Act 2020 empowers the police to invite anybody for questioning, and citizens are expected by law to honor such an invitation provided it is done formally. So, the NSC should not be seen as goading its leader into dishonoring the police invitation. Of course, such a person is deemed innocent until proven guilty. The Punch now finally concludes that it behoves Ajero's legal team to prove that the police have ulterior motives in inviting the labor leader. However, considering the damage insurgents have done to this country, any allegation of terrorism financing and treasonable felony cannot be treated lightly. And all Nigerians, including labor union members, must support the government to stop subversive elements from destabilizing the country. And in that spirit, we hope that by now Ajero would have won his suit or whatever it is and will be on his way to police headquarters. We shall see the developments from there.
Yes, we shall. We shall. Would you say that it's appropriate for the NLC to proceed on strike?
Of course not.
Okay.
Ajero is on his own in a thing like this, unless otherwise proven. And it has to be clear that you have a position doesn't give you the license or the immunity, to I'm not saying he has broken the law, certainly not. I know, yes, we can smell a rat. I also smell it. It's possible to smell a rat. But in these things, you need to be open-minded. You need to be open-minded until we see the weight of the evidence against him and whatever it is. It could just be a question of for him to have been invited anyway, it might not even be as serious as you would imagine. Otherwise, he would have been picked up. This is one of the very few cases where I hear that police, well, they invite you, they'll tell you are wanted at the station. You say, what for? They'll say, when you get there, you will know. That's what they do to lesser minions. Oh, yes, they come loaded and tell you that you will know.
Indeed. Let's move on to our next story quickly. This one is on page 6 of the Punch. Lagos tests red line rail with passengers today.
This is good news for Lagosians, and we have to give the Lagos State government the credit for it. So we're almost good to go. There's going to be a red line that goes between Onyigbo and Agbado. Okay, from Onyigbo. Where in Onyigbo is a train station, because after Ido, oh yes, I think by the Apapa Road area, to take off from there all the way. What it does is, by the time it goes into operation, it wipes out that whole axis, Ikorodu Road and Agigimoto Road. Hopefully. Yes, there'll be less reasons, and it will now be easy to visit your people in Agbado and so on and so forth. It'll be easy for you to go. These are our competitors, but I should for you to take a trip to AIT. Because I've never been there. If there's anything, I don't see what would ever have dragged me from here all the way to Agbado. And we need to give the government credit for it. Built, yes, under controversial circumstances and so on and so forth, but better late than never. And this is also time to give the Lagos State government credit for various development in the transport areas. Look at the development along Yaba, the Yaba crossing, Oyingbo, and all these things. They do get a pass mark for that. But this is also to tell them that the simpler things you should do, and that you get better credit for these things. And also to tell the APC that you have enough to sell to the people without trying to intimidate them when elections come and all these things like Oro or instigating people against each other and all these things. It's completely unnecessary. I think you have what you can even boast about than having to go through these tactics. The reason why you lost that election, in my view, was because your man on the seat was under a lot of pressure, but in the second time he has improved. I mean, to be honest, there's been some improvement, and we would say that. And so there's no need for all this tension and panic. Okay? Well, that's a story for another day. We give them kudos for that. The trains will run freely, 4 trips a day for free, and that will run for, I think it's for how long it was announced, operation today. I think it will run for about 6 weeks, free from Oyingbo to Agbado. So those of you who have nothing to do, enter the train to Agbado, enter it back, don't take a free ride. Ironically, Sheriff, that was the first train I ever took in Nigeria. I was about 6 or 7 years old. I was in primary school. Yeah, so that was around 1965. My mother took me on a train ride from Alagomeji to Agbado, this same Agbado.
Oh.
Yes. It gives me memories. I wish we had, in 1984, 85, I was invited by the Germans, and they were going to introduce it. So that was during Jack Conde's time. It was called the O-band system. So you'd have a bus. You'd have some rails put down, non-electric, just simple rails. You'll have a bus that can pull about 13 coaches. And they recommended that what is now BRT, that it could be a bus pulling coaches. So one bus would have about 10 coaches behind it, mass movement. But the government was more interested in metro line, of course. That will cost
mass transit.
Yes, and it will cost up practically almost nothing, because you just buy the bus, you buy the coaches. You could lay the tracks in less than a month. Non-electric, they put a special wheel, on the coaches and the bus itself to guide it from going off the rail.
Yeah.
And you could do that. Do you understand what I'm saying? You could have done that. This was 84, and we suggested to the government, but they had their eyes on the more expensive one, of course, knowing politicians. And that is where we are today. But kudos to the state government, and we hope we'll have more of this. You need to help us in the area of health, please. Because one of the stories we have here is that the cost of running diabetes has gone up. Seriously. Can I do because we got it from the news? Can I?
Yes, please. Yes, let's
with
go
your
ahead,
with the kind permission of Mr. Sheriff Quadry, I'll now read the other news. Not much. It's all mainly crime and crime. But this one caught my attention. This one in the Daily Trust that says that a woman allegedly stabs her neighbor for having affairs with her husband. Because he was having.
Is your neighbor alive though?
Let us see. Police in Lagos on Tuesday arraigned a 42-year-old woman, Gift Yaya, at Ogudu. She stabbed her neighbor after accusing her of having an affair with the husband. Yes, she said the defendant assaulted the complainant by slapping and hitting her several times. She thereafter stabbed the complainant on her left hand. Fogo funny. With a broken bottle. So the neighbor is alive. Also, other news here, Fogo. By the way, there's one fella track called Fogo. You might want to listen. There's an open defecation takes over 7.8 kilometers along Lagos-Ogun corridor. Open along that route. 6.8 to 7 kilometers. So there was a time on the marina when I used to come to Lagos Island about 5:30 in the morning. Along the marina, you just see them.
It's still happening.
You see them. You see. First of all, you see the little lights. And what is in fact having alone? It's find the little lights. Then you find, But what they also do on the island, sorry to be so descriptive, but I mean, what the hell? We have a job to do. Sometimes they do it in paper bags in their home and go and throw it on the street. As sad as that. Yeah. Hoodlums kill farmer, steal bike in FCT. Jigawa tea vendor arrested for beating man to death. OAU false rape victim's identity. Says lady is not a university student. I don't think that matters. So it's just crime, and crime. We can go on to the next story.
Right, if you're just tuning in, you're welcome. It's Dailies today here on Nigeria Info, and you can watch on Facebook and on YouTube. Nigeria Info 99.3 is how you can watch. Let's go take a look at some health stories. This one particularly from the Trust on page 4. Mpox spreads to 19 states. Cases now 40.
Well. We'd all just better be very, very careful. Very, very careful. And it says here that Lagos raises alarm over a new variant from African countries. The Lagos State government yesterday raised the alarm over the potential risk of importing a new variant of Mpox, known as Clay 1, from neighboring African countries affected by the outbreak via airline and shipping routes. Okay, so this story has that it's going to spread. The United Nations, again, we have gone like beggars as usual. The United Nations have donated 10,000 vaccine doses to Nigeria for this Mpox. Which one are we going to produce for our own people by ourselves? This story should be complemented with this saying that, and the government has said everybody can be vaccinated, blah, blah, blah. But it's not here. So we're always, again, waiting for them. We thank the U.S. government. We know you are not doing this for free. There's a price to pay for it. And as usual, we shall do that. Africa must be independent. There are no free lunches. Always remember that we will have to pay back for this somewhat. Either in cash, no, not in cash, usually in kind. I'm sure, do you know what Mpox is? Let me quickly run through it again. Mpox is a rare viral zoonotic infectious disease of animals transmitted from animals to humans. Okay, and the Mpox virus, according to experts, can spread both from animal to human and from human to human. Animal to human transmission may occur by direct contact with the blood, the bloody fluid, skin, or mucosal lesions of infected animals, e.g. monkeys, squirrels, and rodents. That is frightening. There is no house in Lagos that doesn't have at least one rat. So that is frightening. How do you know? How do you suspect if you have Mpox? What symptoms of the disease, according to experts, include fever, headache, body aches, weakness, swollen lymph nodes, glands, and a rash. After about 1 to 3 days of fever, the rash erupts, beginning on the face and then spreading to the body, with the face and palms being mostly affected. They can also occur in and around the genitals, which is why contact during sex is another mode of transmission, according to the NCDC. So there's a long list of what you shouldn't do. Avoid contact with animals. Avoid contact with materials that have been in contact with a sick animal. Avoid unnecessary physical contact with persons infected with mpox. Isolating potentially infected animals from other animals. Practicing frequent hand washing with soap and water, especially after caring or visiting sick people. Ensuring all animal food products are properly cooked before eating. Using appropriate protective clothing and gloves while handling sick animals. Well, that dog that I play with every morning can stay with his owner for now.
We've not even finished handling cholera outbreak now.
Now we have mpox.
We have mpox. It's
and there's still no evidence that we have any bank of vaccines to run to. We don't have any vaccines hidden somewhere that, in case, there's an outburst of things like this, we have to wait for donation from America.
You know what's really
God
painful?
bless the United States of America. Amen.
What's most painful is the fact that we have institutes of medical research, we have universities with brilliant professors, we have people with PhDs that have done research everywhere. I am sure that if we if we say let's search for people who have done work on mpox and vaccination and all of that, we would find in Nigeria here.
You won't find just that, Sheriff. What you'd also find is there have been reports that have been passed to the upper level and have gathered dust.
And are just sitting there.
They're just sitting there.
Some of the things that we've been through in the past, we know that these things are with us and they're here. They would keep coming. They are not going to stop. And we failed to do anything.
I challenge our colleagues to go through the budgets of the ministries of health. There must be something there for vaccines. And now to find out how that monies have been utilized. There must be some budget there. How would the Ministry of Health not draw up a budget that has production or whatever of vaccines? It'll be there every year. It'll be given a figure. The accountant will say, well, we did 1 billion last week. Let's do and 2 this year. Okay, fine. And that go. So what has happened to those monies over the years? One of the problems we have is we don't punish people for misdemeanor. We just, if we're lucky, if the hardest we've done is what we've done in recent times by sacking people or telling them to resign. We don't punish people for doing the wrong thing. No consequences in an obvious manner. By the way, the 2 appointments yesterday have been also told again by professionals that the 2 appointments are top-notch. So we expect a new attitude in the security arrangement of our country. And congratulations to the 2 gentlemen who have been given that opportunity to serve their country in that capacity.
Right indeed. I
don't like the way you look at me sometimes when I say these things.
Why? How do I
you look at me suspiciously.
No, not at all.
It's because I'm beginning to feel that some people believe that some of us are just anti-government. Just like that. And it's not, it's sad. It's a very painful allegation to be made when people say he hates the president. It's very painful. It touches the heart. Rather than look at the substance of what is being said. I have it, like I said, on good authority, that the two, especially Ajayi from the ranks, is a top-notch intelligence officer. And he's bound to do well. What the major problem is going to have, like usually common, is how to ward away the political shenanigans.
Interference.
Yes. Whether they'll be backing at him. How come this one is still roaming the streets? So go look big for money. Whereas intelligence work is not brute force. It's not sheriff. It's not locking people up. That's an old way of doing things. I think I need to get blade down here. It's an old intelligence work has gone beyond
Yeah.
locking somebody up, putting him in the dungeon, not letting him see light, because it has shown in any case that it strengthens both the guy locked up and his colleagues. So that's what it does. And at the end of the day, it puts whatever leader in an embarrassing situation. There are many other ways, interaction, many other ways, engagement. Well, we'll see.
Right, indeed. Let's take our next story, still in the health sector. NAFDAC's bread safety alert is editorial from the Vanguard.
When I read this, I got frightened. Because even though I hope my doctor's not listening, I'm not supposed to be eating bread. But I love bread. Bready. Bready. But let me read what the Vanguard said that just hit me this morning. There has been a swell of warnings by nutrition specialists and bloggers, particularly in the social media, on the increasing danger that most of the factory manufactured foods, snacks, and drinks that they pose a danger to human health. Diseases like obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, hypertension, cancer, stroke, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease, and others have become a major health challenge in our country. More worrisome is that some of these diseases were once associated with people in their middle ages and the elderly, have now started affecting teenagers and younger people. Where does the problem lie? Artificial food. You know what artificial foods are? All those foods you buy in fast food and all these things called artificial foods and drinks have been contributing towards making our society sicker and more vulnerable to these lethal illnesses. It comes to no surprise that NAFDAC is warning against the prevalence of poisonous bread in the market. There is poisonous bread in the market, and the DG recently alerted that bread sold in the markets are failing laboratory tests because bakers have resorted to the use of saccharin, a cheaper sugar substitute, since the price of sugar hit the roof in recent years. And it says that prolonged exposure to saccharin causes obesity, diabetes, hypertension, colorectal cancer, and others. According to Professor, I think it's Professor, so the bakers are introducing ingredients that are not good for health or consumption. So be careful about the bread that you buy and all other things, the meat pie things, because people are using various substitutes. So
things,
you even there's one they call white something. I don't want to use the brand name and spoil whatever it is. Even in the soups that you eat in Yalati and the whatever, you understand. People think you'll be licking your lips out, but you don't want it. No, there's some chemical things there, and they are very, very dangerous. Should I advise that as much as possible, cook your own food?
Yeah.
Cook your own food. And suggest to NAFDAC, you need to go on raids and make examples of certain persons who are involved in this. And by the way, whilst we're at it, I am still at a loss as to why our own kind of soft drinks and whatever seem to have more sugar or seem to be sweeter than the same product you would take in another country. It's a very, very controversial. It's been on for donkey years that a bit more sugar is added because we all have sweet tooth. We have a penchant for very, very sweet things. But these things are dangerous. We're giving sugar to the diabetic. So let's be very, very careful about our consumption. MRCB. Do you cook your own food?
Yes, I do.
You do. Somebody cooks my own for me, but so I cook my own food.
Don't have to brag about it now. It's okay.
Let me say it. Let me say it. Because if I say the other day when I said that I like to sleep without my clothes on, people went so I don't cook it by myself, but a good Samaritan cooks my food for me.
A good Samaritan.
A good Samaritan, yes.
Or someone you're paying to do it.
No, not the one you're paying to do. The good Samaritan oversees everything. Which is one here.
Oh, okay. Does the good Samaritan stay in the house too?
That is not where this good Samaritan lives.
I'm just asking.
Anywhere where monkey lay head now home. What is most important is that there is a good Samaritan that oversees the cooking and watches what I eat and what I consume. Is there anything wrong with that?
There's nothing, no. I mean, it could be a doctor for all I know.
MYOB. Mind
It
your
could
own
be. It could be.
mind your own business.
It could be your
If
doctor.
you do not have a good Samaritan, I am very sorry for you. I have.
We have to go. We have to go. Oh, you're back at 9.
I'm back at 9, yes.
Right, Lagos, stay here, please. Don't go anywhere. Kofi is next with Morning Crossfire.
.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.